Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Theme Park Blitz, where today, we have a hot topic of conversation for you. Now that Walt Disney World has reopened amidst this COVID-19 nightmare, suddenly the gates to EPCOT are back open and welcoming travelers into the World Showcase with open and hungry arms.
Yep.
So I don't know about you guys, but I am really missing my home's away from home.
We're
excited to get back soon. But we thought, what a perfect opportunity to take the time to tier, not rank, tier
the countries.
Every single country in the World Showcase. If you've never seen a tier list before, instead of ranking them from like 1 to 11, they're all assigned different grades. In this case, from S to F, S being the best,
superior,
and F being the worst.
The failure.
Not superior.
Not superior.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and do it. Tess, why don't you start us off? What is our first country to tier?
I want to give everyone kind of like a background. We're going to have different opinions, me and
Oh,
Adam,
true. Yes, good point, Tess.
before we get to the country.
We're not always going to agree.
We're not going to.
And we're going to average our two grades. So
Yeah.
if Tess, for whatever reason, gave something an S and I gave it an F, it would get a C. Yeah.
So, and it might be different than your opinions as well, because obviously we are two different people. We're all different people.
One of us is right, one of us is wrong. You know,
None
so
of
you
us.
see, sometimes there's a difference there between the people who are right and who are wrong. So speaking of which, Tess, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Oh my goodness. Okay, the first thing you're gonna see when you're walking in through the back is Mexico. And the big architectural stand thing that you're gonna see is that pre-Columbian era, large pyramid kind of looking thing. It's sort of like that antique Mexico vibe you're gonna get. And you can actually go inside. So inside this place is like shopping, food, kind of like a gallery. They feature some like the Day of the Dead. Another thing they have is outside they have a tequila bar, which is also decorative and very...
Well, inside too, they have the frozen
tequila.
Margaritas on the outside.
Right.
But then for the really brave travelers, when you go in, you have La Cava del Tequila.
Right. And they have like tiny dining areas too that you could sit down, and it's all indoors, so it's kind of very air conditioned, which is nice.
On a hot day, for sure.
It's always crowded because it's like I guess it could be bigger, but because it's an indoor space, it's very crowded. Everything's in there. So for me, that's my favorite part of Mexico, and it's all kind of just concentrated in that one area. Since it's the first place, and there's so many other countries we haven't been over, on the tier list, for me, Mexico would rank a B.
Okay, respectable
A,
grade right there.
But not bad. It's
Yeah.
good.
So it's funny you talk about going inside the pyramid, because when I was a kid, I didn't realize that you could actually go inside. I thought it was just decoration. So I was always like, what's the deal with Mexico? What a waste of space. You have like this big decoration and there's nothing there. And then like right when I started getting more into Disney and theme parks in general, someone's like, oh, you've been on the Mexico ride, what? And I was like, what? That being said, there's a lot to like in Mexico, including the ride Grand Fiesta Tour, starring the three caballeros, of which I am a huge fan. They are my favoritos. Spanish speakers, I'm sorry.
Favorito.
Whatever it is, they're my favorite. And then in addition to that, you have a number of really cool dining locations. Like we mentioned before, La Cava del Tequila, where they have fantastic handcrafted margaritas, tequila flight, certainly frequent in there. The only problem there is it's such a poorly kept secret how good that place is. I've seen the line be like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, like longer than waiting in line for like Test Track to get a margarita.
Well, what about now versus Cantina in Star Wars? Would you say it's similar?
Oh, no, no. You're going to wait way longer at Oga's. That's a whole other conversation. But you certainly wait a long time for your drink at La Cava del Tequila. I think the biggest problem with Mexico, it is fantastically designed, a lot of good entertainment, a lot of good incorporation with Coco, the new, most related IP. And actually, I heard they're thinking about retheming, or maybe it was just a rumor, they're retheming Grand Fiesta Tour to Coco, which I would actually like to see. I think Coco is a really, really respectful property of the culture, so I'd like to see that, especially tying into that Dia de los Muertos.
You love Coco.
I'm a big Coco fan, folks, both the food and the movie. But I think the biggest problem with Mexico is the food options. You have the main restaurant, I would say, like the Inn de San Angel, which is the one inside the pyramid. Beautiful location, right by the water, so scenic, twinkling sky above you.
They do have the lights.
But the problem is food is very bland.
It's not spicy enough.
And when you think of Mexican cuisine, you think bold flavors, spicy.
Like a South American tang, like I don't
well, not even South American. I mean South of America,
yeah.
Mexican, right? Like as much fiesta in your mouth, you know, and that's not what you get. That's not what you get at San Angel. You get very bland, very basic, almost Tex-Mex style cuisine, of which I am not a big fan. So that's a pretty big letdown. Yeah. And then I think like the margarita stuff on the outside doesn't really do it for me. It's very overly sweet.
Like a passing by.
Sort of a passing by type deal. Yeah. I mean, you have the mariachi band outside. That's really nice when that happens.
They have performers.
But that aside, you know, Mexico, it's got a lot going for it. It's got all the trappings, I would say, of an S country. It's just the execution isn't exactly there. That's why, for me, I have to agree with you, and the rare occasion to agree with Tess, and say a B tier country.
Look at that, our first
Mexico.
country, we agree.
Oh, let's hope the trend continues. It's not going to. Tess, why don't you go ahead and introduce the next country, of which you are, spoiler alert, a big fan.
I am a big fan of our next country. Our next country is going to be Norway. After you pass through Mexico, you're going to enter a more Scandinavian type town. You're going to notice the cobblestone streets, the Scandinavian kind of architecture. Everything's going to switch into like a nicer vibe. I'm extremely... I love Norway just because...
You're like, big pyramid, nah, cobblestone streets.
Yes.
Sign me up.
I don't know what it is. So, I mean, I've been to the Scandinavian era a bunch. Half of my family is from Finland, and I have relatives in Sweden, and I've been to Estonia, and I've spent so much time over there that when I go there, when I go there, it really hits home, and I can see a bunch of things that I can recognize, and the food is very good at, like, Disney does a really good job at replicating the food that they offer with the fresh open-faced sandwiches, that like smoked salmon kind of like...
Sure.
Yeah, the sweet bread, it kind of resembles a pula type sweet bread, cinnamon bread that you dip in coffee.
I love how you, for like your analogy for the people at home, you're like, oh, you know sweet bread, just like pula, which of course everybody knows,
Everyone
right?
will know.
It's like,
it's sweet bread.
Yeah, sweet bread with cardamom flavor.
Yes,
you know, it's like a very
flavor.
subtle sweet. I think a lot of people, another well-kept Disney snack lore of the skull bread, this sort of semi-sweet, oh, so good. One of my favorite snacks. I don't want to get too much into mine, but yeah, for sure. Kringla Bakery in Norway, the spot where you get skull bread, definitely a must-do for me every time I go.
Yeah, like I said, they do a good job at replicating the food that is up north. Other than the food, which is always good, the customer service, I think, is great. They do a good job of getting, like, you know, the real Scandinavians, bringing them down, and they're all so sweet. The shopping opportunities they have have a bunch
but they do have that really big, scary troll.
It's not scary.
It's so scary. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. It's like a giant,
for the lighthearted,
hairy, dirty troll.
They also are incorporating more Elsa and Anna frozen features into Norway, which some people aren't a fan of.
True.
But I think it's really cool how they're trying to bring more Disney into the Norway area and like kind of, I guess they're not like pushing out all the historic like aspects, like you said, the oil.
I don't know, maybe.
Anyway, okay, let me talk about it. So they have all that. They also have Akershus.
Akershus, that's right.
Yes, so a lot of good places to eat, a lot of good places to shop, so many beautiful things that you see, and I just love the whole entire vibe and just the music that they play. For me, I love Norway just because I feel at home. I'm going to give it an S, and yes, that might be far out left field.
You can hear my eyes roll from the other
might
side
be
of the
far
house, I
left
think.
field, but I love it, so I'm going to give it an S, and I don't care.
Okay, well, you are very much so entitled to your opinion. That is the point of this video. However, folks, in reality, I think we all know Norway definitely has a lot positive going for it, but there's some negatives there too. Like you mentioned, Kringla Bakery, fantastic.
That's the best.
I do love a good skull bread. I get it every time I go. It's a must do. And Akershus as well is a really nice dining location. I think maybe a little on the low for some people, but it's
underrated.
It's a character dining location where they have all the princesses. So if you're a little kid or, you know, grown adult like myself is looking to meet Cindy, looking to meet Rapuni, looking to meet
Rapunzel,
Snowy, you know,
Snow
all the
White.
homegirls. Akershus is a great place to do it. One single location, and then you can eat some like smoked salmon at the same time. So
What
if you
doesn't
both
suck a
have a
good
thing for
vibe?
smoked salmon and Walt Disney World princesses, that's going to be your favorite restaurant, Bo Show. That being said, for my drinking around the world, folks, when you go from Mexico, which is like a boom, bam, 1-2 punch of margaritas and tequilas, and then you go to Norway and really all they have is that aquavit shot, which is
I mean, it was either
horrible.
gonna be that or straight vodka. So.
Well, right, true. And of course, the one thing we haven't talked about yet, which is Frozen Ever After. Now, I was a huge, actually, Maelstrom fan. I love me a little bit of Norwegian oil expeditions, and then you get Frozen, which, while I like Frozen, Olaf doesn't do it for me the same way. And I feel like, on a more serious note, you're taking a little bit away from the cultural, educational elements of EPCOT that, Walt envisioned, or at least, sub-envisioned, and then replace it just like, here's Olaf, here's Disney IEP.
But Frozen's like a hit. You can't not.
A hit is a hit, for sure. And, I think because of Frozen, like, legitimately, in terms of real-world tourism, like, tourism to Norway went way up.
Yeah.
So great for the Norwegian Tourism Board. But I did prefer Maelstrom. I know there's dozens of us out there. Dozens of us who preferred Maelstrom. So Norway, for me, is a very solid B-tier country. There's a lot going for it. I think the skull bread alone, like, knocks it up a grade for me, not gonna lie. But to say S-tier, it's a little scandalous. If you average the two of ours, that makes it an A tier.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think is still scandalous to put it that high. So let us know in the comments why Tess is wrong, or if I'm right. Yeah, just let me know that I'm right. Moving right along, I'll go ahead and introduce the next country, and we move on from Norway to China, the big C.
Bigger country.
And yeah, China is a beautifully detailed, very ornate pavilion in the World Showcase, instantly iconic. And I think Disney Imagineering deserves a lot of credit for what they were able to do, distinctly representing both China and Japan, which I know, especially if you're Chinese or Japanese and you're watching, that's like a no-brainer, or you've lived in those cultures very immersively.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for your average American, or even for your average kid,
it'd be almost easy to mix it up.
It's easy to conflate the two if all you've ever been exposed to is your typical mainstream representation, which hasn't always been great, right? And so they do a really good job of uniquely presenting those cultures. Yeah. In China, you have their acrobatic show that happens out in the open, which is really great. You have Mulan meet and greets from time to time. You have the Reflections of China 360 Circle Vision video.
One. You have to stand for that, though.
That is a negative. Standing is a negative in any case, but yes, good educational video. And there's some unique shopping and dining locations as well. I think the signature dining restaurant in China is Nine Dragons, which for a long time was considered really one of the weakest dining locations in EPCOT. Although I have heard recently it's gotten a lot better. So I'll have to try it. I really haven't eaten there in a long time. But I think the problem with Chinese food in EPCOT is a problem of access, in that you and I have easy access to Chinese food. Basically whenever we want.
Not the same as actual Chinese food.
No, nothing like actual Chinese food.
But it's the same kind of
Americanized Chinese food we have access to, and I think most people in the United States do as well. And so for you to be transported to another culture, another food culture, it takes a lot more than just putting Kung Pao chicken on the plate.
I think
which was, when I went to Nine Dragons, that's what the experience was.
I also think Disney's not trying to explore the more like exotic foods China has to offer.
Certainly not. There are, for my drinkers, around the worlders, there's some good drinks in this location. Tipsy Ducks in Love, I think, is the most popular one that I think everyone goes for, which is a great drink and unique. And you can get like plum wine here and different teas and stuff as well. But all that said, for me, China, I said at the start of my little rant, big C, that's what it gets for me. C. Tess.
Big C. One thing I do like about China is that they have that kind of museum area where you can kind of see like these terracotta warriors, see the history, all the different dynasties China had. It's really interesting, especially because I learned it in school. You can kind of see it, and they show you a bunch of like photos and statues and really cool stuff for me. I like the history aspect. But like you said, the 360 vision and the subpar, not really crazy Chinese food, and the House of Good Fortune that really doesn't go crazy with, decorations or anything. I feel like it could be a lot cooler. There's so many opportunities they have. And it's very beautiful, but there's other countries that I think can almost out tier China. I agree, C. C would be a good tier. Better.
Look at that, we've agreed twice. I mean, I'm color me shocked.
That'll be the last time.
This time we're heading over from China into Germany. Germany, I love.
Was that a German accent?
9.
I think it was.
Germany, I really like Germany. A lot to do in this pavilion, but I will say straight off the bat, I feel like a lot of people miss the boat in Germany. Because if you do not have reservations for the Biergarten, that was a German
also
accent.
another.
If you don't have reservations for the Biergarten, you miss a lot of what's to see in the pavilion.
I think mostly entertainment-wise.
Entertainment-wide, food offerings, your half-liter, full-liter German beers, your dancing.
Yes.
And then even the interior decoration as well.
And the character interactions too. I feel like.
With the employees. Yeah, totally agreed. There are some quick service locations that are pretty good here. They have the Caramel Apple place. They have the
Tannenbaum shop.
The town, yes. If you're looking to eat Christmas ornaments, that's or tinsel, that's for you. Teddy bar, where you can buy like your German like toy type stuff. You can get your Nudelgratin, your mac and cheese in Germany, which is always a hit, and then of course pretzels and beer.
Yep.
I really like Germany. I think it's a really festive environment, and part of that is just the German culture is easy to bring that type of celebration, that type of joviality.
The Oktoberfest feel.
Exactly, where you got a liter beer in one hand, a pretzel in the other, and you're doing your, so.
Sing along.
I'm a big fan of Germany. I'm gonna have to give it an A. I give Germany an A. Tess.
Okay, I think I'm on the same page as you there. I'm a huge, Christmas fan. They got the year-round Christmas shop. I love pretzels and a good buffet. I love a good brat.
Preferably a pretzel buffet. I mean, that's heaven.
Where has that been all my life? For real. Last time a few times back when I first went into that restaurant, that huge buffet area, they have like tiered seating with the stage at the bottom, so you can see the whole entire show. You see these like native performers almost.
Yeah, it's like a polka band. They got like accordions.
Yeah, they got crazy cool music, stuff you would not see anywhere in America, just out of the whim,
Outside of a German beer hall.
Yeah. So that experience is totally unique for me. So eating the food and then being able to just go down on like the dance floor and bring your friends and your family. You've got a stomach full of beer and brats, and you're just dancing, having a good time, and everyone's just kind of like egging you on. You're trying to have a good time. Everyone wants to see people dance to the music, and just enjoy.
It's very, very festive.
Yeah, enjoy your presence there. So that whole part, just inside there, I say S performance, but outside, I feel like, they got the caramel apples, they got the Christmas shop and the teddy bar, but it's really, if you don't go into that restaurant, you're not gonna get the full experience that you could get.
Yeah.
So I would say A, not S, because if you don't make those reservations, you're not going to see what I usually see. So.
And if you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Germany stinks. Try booking that restaurant if you haven't before. It might change your mind.
Yeah, go on that dance floor. Live a little.
Bust it out to the chicken dance. See how your heart changes.
They do the chicken dance.
They do. Multiple times a day,
really
I'm sure.
Okay, for the next country, we are going to Italy. Not a very far travel.
Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. Italy.
Mama.
Mamma mia.
No, just mama.
The first thing that really stands out to me is always the buildings. So you're going to see this huge tower, a bell tower, 83 foot tall.
Whoa.
Very cool.
It's a lot of feet.
Lots of feet. It's, something like the Eiffel Tower. They want to, make it stand out so you can see it. The architecture, they have these like music playing. It's very Italian, Venice feel. It's really nice. All around you, you can get the vibe of Italy. Whenever I go to Italy, I get an espresso.
Of course.
Whatever points out to me, like food-wise, it's always the pizza. Via Napoli has really good pizza.
Agreed.
There's a lot of cool stuff in Italy. I don't know if they have any. Do they have any, like, rides or productions?
They have some shows. Sometime there's that like little center stage.
Yeah, they have a
area,
stage area.
And they have a show that I think involves like I've seen it a number of times. It involves like balls. And usually like little kids. I can't remember.
Oh my God.
I can't remember like what. Okay, so we went and checked, and yes, I was correct. It involves a juggler mime with soccer balls, and he gives them the kid, and then they throw it into a net.
It's like interacting with the cast members. So that's a cool little aspect of Italy. That's like kind of like a hidden gem. Also around Italy, you kind of have the brick buildings. The flowers are so beautiful. They incorporate as much color as they can with the foliage and flowers. So I like that part. But other than, I think just like the coffee, the pizza, and like the little dude who's playing games.
Didn't make it sound much better.
Tossing balls. I think I want to give Italy a C or B. Only because I feel like I have access.
Well, which one? C or B?
C.
There you go. You already first.
And it's sad. I feel bad.
Well, yeah.
I love Italy.
Again, I mean, I'm not too far off on that from you. I think you hit on a lot. I think, again, like a lot of the locations in the World Showcase, really well designed, but I feel like it's missing some core components. What we talked about in terms of food access
Like
for China
yeah.
is definitely true for Italy. People have access to Italian food at home, whether it's carabas or Olive Garden or buca di beppo.
Yeah.
And so you just expect a little more from an EPCOT location.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's sort of a missed opportunity in that regard. Via Napoli does have really good pizza. Last time I went there, I ate like 6 slices of pizza, and then I went on Mission Space immediately after. I do not recommend that, but I do recommend their pizza. It is really, 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 really good. Definitely better than Disney room service pizza, which is probably the worst pizza on the entire planet Earth. Forget the happiest place on Earth. On the entire planet Earth that you can eat pizza. Not good. But Italy, it's really aesthetic. It's a really nice place to have a coffee, sit, and chill out.
It's beautiful.
But for me, it's one that I skip a lot. For my drinkers around the world, usually you're just getting wine here, maybe Prosecco or something like that.
Maybe like for the Food and Wine Festival, this place is a little bit more like, ooh, gotta go to Italy.
Yeah, but even then, I'm usually going to go to something a little more foreign to me than Italy. At least foreign to me.
Yeah.
So overall, Italy for me, I have to agree with you, actually. It's a C-tier country.
We're like fusing together.
Our minds are becoming one. Don't get married, folks. Okay, next country.
It's been like a year.
It's been long enough. Next country to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands over your hearts because we are going to the United States of America. I'm going to drop the ball straight off the bat, all right? US of A.
He's not holding back.
I'm not holding back. Hold me back. US of A is an F-tier country, and here is why. It is the lamest representation of American food and drink culture that they could have ever possibly done, okay? The one saving grace of America is the American Adventure Rotunda, which features the Voices of Liberty.
That's the best part.
Love the Voices
that is
of
the
Liberty.
Best part.
A fantastic a cappella group. You sit in the American Adventure Rotunda, you hear their voices come together, echoing, reverberating. So many cool American folk songs, military service songs, just stuff that's embedded in the classic American backbone of culture.
Dream culture.
Very, very, very cool. And the colonial side is obviously cool as well to dive into that bit of history. But the food, and I know they recently opened a barbecue restaurant. I haven't had the pleasure of eating there yet. I do know it's hosted by Sam the Eagle. I'm a huge Muppets fan, so I'm looking forward to that. But Muppets aside, which they could use more of. They could always use more
Throw
Muppets.
A little bit more in there.
It's like turkey legs, hot dogs, hamburgers, Bud Light. I mean, is that really the most we can do when it comes to America? There's so many different unique portions of American culture that you can experience, whether it's the jazzy South, the Midwest, New York, California, the Pacific Northwest, and then you settle on the Southeast, and then you settle on, or Southwest, all of the South, all of the cardinal directions.
I know what he's trying to say.
You settle on hot dogs, hamburgers, and Bud Light. I mean, come on. So for that reason, pretty much alone, it's an F-tier country. Really big missed opportunity in the United States.
They kind of just
I always skip it, always. And they do have craft beer there now, but
it's not enough to cover. The USA Pavilion focuses more on like colonial America, that backyard barbecue, you know, like Uncle Sam feel, and it's cool, it's cute, and it's fun, but I feel like they have so much more to modernize in the pavilion itself. Right. I agree, F. I would say D just because of those singers, but if those singers were in another country,
you can say
F.
D.
But it's gonna be an F.
But it's gonna be an F because it's gonna average out. So if you want to save face, you can say D. I'll take the really hard hit here and say F. Okay, moving right along, we move on from the United States of America to one of my favorite countries,
Japan. You already introduced the last few. Japan is beautiful. I'm gonna start this one out, babe. Thanks. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Japan, this is one of those countries that's completely stacked. So they have from dining to entertainment to shopping to culture and architecture, styling.
I'm back.
The all-around attitude that Japan is like, you know, conveys and tries to give you that feeling of you're in a new country, like actually stepped into a different area. They do it 100% successful. Like, I just feel completely zen when I walk in. Some of my favorite parts is the shopping, is that Mitsukoshi department store.
That's right.
It's the biggest department store they have in Epcot. They offer things like the snacks and the candies, like art basically on the wrappers of the candies. You've seen it all before. They also showed more of like the, Pokemon anime sort of side of things. They have those plush toys, and it kind of doubles as almost like a museum gallery because they show you all the things that they're not selling, but it's kind of just like those keepsake items, like, oh my gosh, look at these huge things that we have, and it's all Japanese, all, unique to Japan. So, I mean, you get a little bit of everything, and you can see the whole country in one little square footage space. So I think they really successfully do Japan, much better than they did the US, much better than they did China.
Well, that's a given. I mean, you could literally have just put up a Japanese flag and I would have been like, oh, this is cooler than the US, so.
S tier for Japan.
Yeah, agreed. Japan, I'm not going to hit on everything because you hit on a lot there.
Yeah.
Mitsukoshi department store, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Their food,
I didn't talk about that.
Their food options are great. You have Teppanyito, which is your typical hibachi restaurant. That's probably the weakest of all of them because it's kind of just like your local Benihana or whatever. But they have a really good quick service location in the Katsura Grill. And then you have Takumite, their new signature dining restaurant, one of the fancier dining locations, sort of akin to Monsieur Paul in France, where it is a fantastic meal experience. A little pricey and definitely not one that I would feel comfortable going to in like flip-flops and a tank top. But just this poetic meal.
People do it though.
Oh, for sure. This poetic display of like 5 different courses. And you can order a lot from there, but just a beautiful representation of Japanese food culture. So many different flavors presented in a fresh way. It's a really great modern fusion of like old Japan, or maybe the Japan and then like a new modern pushing the boundaries Japan. And in that way, I think it's a really beautiful location. Definitely one of my favorite restaurants on property. And I'm not just in EPCOT, but at Walt Disney World as a whole. And so for that reason, I think Japan is another must visit. And of course, it gets an S for me. I mean, little young 7-year-old Adam getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the... I have no idea what you're doing. Little young 7-year-old Adam getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I'm trying to make an S on the wall.
Okay, I can't do that in post, so sorry guys, you're gonna have to imagine that in your head. But getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards from the department store, third time saying that sentence, was awesome. My mind exploded. Love Pokemon, love Japan, love the Japan Pavilion, S tier. Next country, I'm gonna introduce this one, and I'm gonna do this one justice. Okay, look at me, folks. This is a conversation between me and you. Morocco is, boom! I don't know why I just punched you. The most underrated, the most underrated pavilion in the World Showcase. Morocco slaps, okay? Without a doubt. Here's why. First off, the food is amazing. You have the best quick service location in EPCOT, Tangerine Cafe.
That's a big statement.
I'm dropping bombs. You got the best.
Not true.
You got the best quick service location in all of EPCOT, Tangerine Cafe. In addition to that, you have Spice Road Table, which offers some really awesome small plates, some good drinks you can get from the adjacent Moroccan bar, which is another one of the best bars, another hidden gem at EPCOT. And then you have Restaurant Marrakesh, which is fantastic. If you love Middle Eastern flavors, if you love your falafel, your tabbouleh, your, tzatziki sauce, whatever it's gonna be. I can't memorize the whole menu, but it is really, 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 really fantastic. And then it really is one of the only countries in the pavilion that you feel like you can actually get lost inside. You can explore, go into the country, go into the pavilion. It might not be like as impressive just straight off the bat as some of the other big centerpieces in the World Showcase, like the Italian Bell Tower, like the pagoda that houses the Mitsukoshi department store, with the sake bar. That, by the way, I didn't mention sake bar in Japan, another reason it's getting an S. But it's not as eye-catching in the front, but when you go inside of it and you explore all the different shops, it's such an immersive, enveloping environment with such ornate detail, really, really beautiful. Imagineering did themselves, justice and did their duty 10 times out of 10, top marks from me.
Wow. Morocco
is, I almost want to say S tier just to put it in people's, but I'm gonna reserve S for spoiler alert, the two really great countries.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give Morocco an A+. So an A. There's no pluses or minuses, but A+.
All right, for all the people who agree with me on this side of the spectrum.
Well, we haven't even heard what you think yet.
Maybe Morocco is his Norway. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
he thinks it's a lot more than it really is. To me, Morocco is one of those passing by countries, and I am not the one who goes into Morocco.
I almost just straight up spit my coffee.
I have never actually, gone through and done that exploring, and maybe it's just like kind of like something on the surface to me that I haven't seen. It doesn't stand out like the other things, and maybe it's because I'm all about like the architecture and those big ticket items and the shopping, and I feel like that's where it's lacking is like the stylistic approach. It's like the shopping kind of feels like more of a alleyway type of haggling, trinkets.
But that's what it is. That's the intended feeling that they're trying to give you. It's that Middle Eastern market. It's that, going from bazaar to bazaar.
Yeah.
It's not like a big, like House of Good Fortune. It's just like a big store.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing Chinese about that.
Yeah.
In Morocco, the shopping experience is inherently Moroccan.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good at accomplishing its intended purpose.
Okay, well maybe that is something to
See, folks, that's how you win an argument.
I said maybe that's something maybe that's something that I have been missing, but still it's not worthy to me. To me it's more like a kind of like a passing through. You kind of check it out, you look at it and be like, oh, I've been to Morocco, maybe get a drink, stop at some of these amazing quick service restaurants, but you just came from Japan, you're about to go to France, there's just so many things that you can't sandwich Morocco in between Japan and France, and we'll get to France, but you can't sandwich that in between and give it an A in between two S
It's a
countries.
Moroccan sandwich.
Morocco, hear me out, I think on my tier list it's a D.
That's disgusting.
And we can make
I'm literally offended.
I can make it a C.
Folks, just click out of the video. Don't stop watching.
Subscribe though.
Okay, subscribe and then click out of the video because that is abhorrently wrong. However,
Oh wow, look at this.
entitled to your opinion.
How can we equal that?
Equaling out an A and a D, I don't know what that equals out to.
I'll
I guess
make it a C, but I really don't want to.
No, it's got to be at least a B. I can't.
B minus.
Okay, B minus, but there's no plus and minuses, so B, but B minus. All right, Morocco, B. I can live with that.
So next country we have is going to be France.
France.
And like I already said, Morocco is sandwiched in between two, S tier countries. And yes, I'm kind of giving away already up front. France is an S tier country to me.
But we are also, and I should say, we are incredibly biased because Tess and I recently in February got married at Walt Disney World. We had our reception at Monsieur Paul, the signature dining restaurant within France. So France is like always going to be an S tier country to us. That being said,
we chose it for a reason.
We chose it for a reason because it's an S tier country. France is, I think you'll agree, it's just totally stacked.
Right, top to bottom. I mean, starting with, I think when you walk in is the aesthetic. You have an Eiffel Tower, a little mini Eiffel Tower. You have the, same thing with the streets, the flowers, the fountains, the performers outside. You have the restaurant.
Well, so many different entertainment options. You say performing outside, but you got the Beauty and the Beast sing-along. And then pretty soon, you're going to have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, the smash hit from Disneyland Paris, Trackless Dark Ride, come into France as well. So you're going to get like a signature attraction, certainly going to be the best attraction in the whole World Showcase. Yeah, I said it, Frozen Ever After, and Grand Fiesta Tour. And then on top of that, they're making a creperie.
Yep, they're going to have a new creperie. So, I mean, on top of the gelato and the ice creams and the coffees you already get, and the wines.
And the wines.
Yeah.
There's no argument for me. Yeah. La Chef de France. Actually, all of the dining locations in France are run by, all their food operations are run by a different company that's actually related to Paul Bocuse, hence Monsieur Paul, famous French chef. And so it's very authentic, and their dedication to quality is instantly admirable and memorable. You have like that fresh French bread. I think we've said it before, it's like that scene in Ratatouille where she's like, there's no sound like the fresh French bread. It's like, that's what it's like.
Good.
Monsieur Paul is amazing food. Obviously, we had our reception there, but we've eaten there before that, and fantastic food. Le Chef de France, a great sit-down location. Everyone, for my drinkers out there, everyone knows the Grey Goose and Grand Marnier like slushies.
It's a good one. It's like a frosé.
Kinda, yeah. France is stacked. Look, there's no other way to say it. It is a superior country, and yeah, it's S tier. I'm gonna stop doing accents. All right, speaking of not doing accents, right? That's terrible. We're going on to the United Kingdom. Now, I have to say, much like Tess is biased with Norway, I'm biased with the UK because both of my parents are from England, accent and all, which means that when we came to EPCOT when I was younger, they always wanted to go eat at the Rose and Crown. So we always like mad dash straight for the UK. And I guess in retrospect, that's because they like miss it, but it's kind of funny. It's like if we went to EPCOT and I was like, I need a hot dog. Like, oh my God. So UK is another really nice pavilion, very well decorated. It sort of gives you a local like village, high street type feel. You have the Rose and Crown Pub, which offers great food and of course a very crowded but certainly delicious bar where you can get my favorite drink in all of Epcot, the cheeky black and tan, half Guinness, half Bass, all smiles.
If you haven't gotten one, please go get a black and tan. They'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah, after our marathon, we hit that up and we were riding high for quite a while. They have the little garden in the back where you can usually see like a band do some sort of British invasion. Lots of really cool shopping opportunities. You have the Twinings tea shop where of course you can buy Twinings tea, but also different British candies and cookies and digestives.
I love the little digestives and the cookies.
Yeah, McVitie's and Cadbury's and all that good stuff. And then in the other shops, you can get like toys, British invasion, like music merchandise, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones. If you're into Premier League soccer,
all the good music and all the good sports.
If you're into Premier League soccer, you can get your Man United kit, your Man City kit, your Tottenham kit, your Liverpool kit. So really a lot to get and buy and see.
Right.
And you have the fish and chip shop. And who doesn't love a good fishy chip? I love a good fishy chip. It's a very cheeky country. It is missing a little something, and that's why I think they were planning on building that Mary Poppins expansion, the Cherry Tree Lane expansion. Now, canceled indefinitely. Thanks a lot, COVID-19.
Yeah.
Just another thing. Just add it to the list. But even still, United Kingdom, still a really great country, and for that reason, I would give it a B. A very solid B.
Okay. I think for me, because he said all these things, like especially, even though it has no like attractions, no rides, I give this place an A, and maybe that's because Rose and Crown, I don't know what's so special about it for me, but the bar inside, it's always crowded.
It's very comfortable.
It's a very comfy area. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's there just to have a drink, have a good time, and just interact with everyone else there. And I just love that feeling, that vibe. And then outside you have that little phone booth. It's the classic area to go get a picture. You feel like you're really on the streets in England. And then it's a good place to watch the fireworks as well. Only recently have I had mushy peas and like bangers and mash. And
bangers and mash, shepherd's pie, Yorkshire pudding.
These are actual food items that are normally.
It's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and the fish and chips are just incomparable to any other fried food I've had, especially here in the South in America. So for me, it's an A.
It's a very respectable grade. You know, I was very close to giving it an A, so it still averages out to, I guess, a B, B+. Again, no pluses, but, you know, if you put it as an A, I'm not going to hate you the same way I hate you for putting Norway as an S. Anyway, let's move on to the last country, and we are heading over. Tess, why don't you introduce us to...
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Yes.
Really not a lot to say about this one, I feel like.
I'm not gonna lie, there's not much to say. So when you're going through Canada, they have like one thing that I think makes it stand out. It's that restaurant.
Le Cellier.
Le Cellier.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic steakhouse. You can get your beer cheese soup, a nice steak, a nice jacket potato.
Gotta make your reservations. Right?
Sure. Your Canadian whiskey, your beers, and all that good stuff. Gotta make a reservation. A really nice dining location. Almost saves Canada from the same fate as the US for me. I don't mean to steal your thunder, but...
No, I completely agree. It's like one of the saving graces of Canada, and they also try to promote like that kind of natural beauty Canada has to offer. They have like these rock formations, these beautiful flowers and bushes. Yes. They try to have this like waterfall.
It is nice and aesthetic, but not particularly memorable, I feel like.
No, it's not particularly memorable. They have no like, standing buildings or anything to make it stand out, like kind of like a monument of Canada. Yeah. And I feel like there's so many options they have to like bring out the Canadian culture. There's so many things. I mean, I've never been to Canada personally, but I know there's.
Well, I feel like they could have done like, more like the Yukon or more like the Arctic region, just to give a little bit of variation. Like to me, Wilderness Lodge feels more Canadian to me than the Canada Pavilion.
So they could like incorporate maybe some of that style into the Canada Pavilion. But other than that, it's more like an exiting country. I feel bad. I'm gonna tier it as a D.
No, don't feel bad because I totally agree. I'm gonna keep it short as well. Canada, for me, is a D tier country. Good food in Le Cellier, and a nice maybe spot to rest in between going around your loop.
Before you go to the World Showcase, Future World.
Right, exactly. But that being said, Canada, D tier country. I think that about wraps it up. Let's go ahead and review everything we talked about. So starting at the very top, Mexico. You gave a B, I gave a B, averages out to a B. Norway, you egregiously gave an S. I was correct in giving it a B, which averages out to an A. Again, let us know in the comments if I'm right. China, I gave a big C, and you did as well.
Yeah.
Germany, I gave an A.
I think I also did.
You also gave it an A, makes it a solid A, another good agreement. Italy, I gave a C.
I think I gave it a B or C.
I think you were in between a B or C. I think you settled on C.
I do like Italy.
See, it shows how she's right on that line there,
Yeah.
but a C between the two of us. United States, put your fingers up, type F in the chat for F. RIP,
F
United
for,
States.
S for respect.
Yeah, F for freedom, but also for failure. Japan, I gave an S.
S.
You're an S, it's an easy
Stacked.
S.
It's stacked.
Morocco, another case where I was correct and gave it an A. You gave it a D, averages out to a B. Thank you. Moving right along to France, I gave an S. You also gave an S, another big S tier country, back to back with Japan, with the Morocco sandwich.
Really good.
And then moving on from France, we had United Kingdom. I gave a B. You gave an A.
Yep.
Averaging out to a B. And then Canada, I gave a D. You gave a D, which averages out to a D. That's a little song I wrote to help me remember what grade we did.
And that's the World Showcase.
And that's the World Showcase. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little sit-down chat with the two of us. Hoping to do more of these little podcast type things as time goes on. Let us know in the comments if you agreed, if you disagree, what we got right, what Tess got wrong. And of course, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. In fact, no, make sure to smash that like button. And then also hit that bell for notifications and hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Adam.
I'm Tess.
And this has been Theme Park Blitz. See you in the next video.